Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Holland. Today I want to sit down with you and share with you my honest opinions about living in the Netherlands. There are some really great things about this country as well as some not so good things. Obviously, a lot of the things that I'm sharing here in this episode are very subjective. So things that I don't find so well might be the perfect fit for you and vice versa. So please be gentle with me down in the comments box if some of the things that I'm going to say are things you don't necessarily agree with. Let's just have an open discussion while being respectful for each other's opinions. So with that out of the way, the first thing I want to start out with is some of the things I do like about this country. Because I've lived here now already long enough to be able to see the silver lining in some of the things that I would previously deem so negative. And the first one of that would be the fact that it's just a very convenient place to be. When you're living in the Netherlands, especially in one of the larger cities, let's say Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, Utrecht, Eindhoven, just to give a couple of examples, you're going to be well connected to all other parts of Europe. You're going to have access to all the public facilities that you might need. You're also going to really just have an easy time navigating your surroundings because it's just super convenient here. And while I think that is a positive thing, a lot of people might say that must be one of the most negative things you could ever say about a country because everything is very predictable here. I mean, unless you're in different areas of Amsterdam, you're not really going to have a lot of different unwanted experiences or things that really shock you. Things are very organized, very orderly. There's a standard procedure pretty much for everything. But if you are, young, dynamic, and you want to be in this place where there's a lot of chaos, I think the Netherlands is really not the country for you. But if you really want to just take it easy, keep it calm, kind of just get on by with your life. This just sounds super negative, I know, but like if that is generally what you want to be like, just kind of get on by and be content with what you have, then you're really going to enjoy living here. Now for me, I'm a bit of a weird person when it comes to that. I have very big goals, dreams, and ambitions for myself, but at the same time, I kind of also appreciate being in an environment that I know how to navigate. So for me, this is a pro because I can still do my own thing, run my own business, and reach all different people in different parts of the world thanks to my YouTube channel, but also my own business, working with different clients across the globe. I feel like I'm still able to tap into this kind of uncertainty and unpredictability that comes with running your own business. But I also like being here and kind of having this familiar system that I'm so accustomed to by now. So that's kind of one thing that is a positive. Another positive thing would be just generally the infrastructure. I know I spoke about that a lot in the first point, but the infrastructure here is just like impeccable. I mean, you have buses, trains, trams, very good airports. You can go anywhere in the world. It's very well connected within Europe. So ironically, my favorite thing is also how fast you can get out of the Netherlands. So if any of you want to be sort of based somewhere relatively central in Europe, but still be able to travel to different parts, of course, when it is a lot more possible to do so, then this is a very good country to be in. And the third thing that I like pretty much would be, you know what? I have to think about that. But I can definitely think about a couple of not so good things. So let's start with those, shall we? The first one would be the Dutch directness. It's still something that's very strange to me because for me, being Turkish and coming from this American schooling background, I'm much more used to and accustomed to kind of sugarcoating my opinions, not being so direct, trying to have a lot of empathy, sympathy towards people, and really just like voice my opinions in a way that I know is not really going to make the other person upset or trigger them in any way. So the Dutch are very direct. On one hand, that's very good. On the other hand, there is sincerely a very, very thin borderline between being direct and just being simply rude. And I sometimes feel like Dutch people, at least the ones that I came across, so if you're Dutch and watching this, I don't want to offend you in any shape or form, but maybe it's just that I've been very unfortunate with my encounters, is they tend to be very direct and in a very hurtful way. Or on the flip side, maybe I just need to toughen up my skin and just kind of be more objective with whatever I'm hearing from people around me. The second thing is, obviously, like within this world of order, I'm also a bit of a person that appreciates the chaos. So that's why I like to be in the bigger cities in the Netherlands. I really, really grew to love Amsterdam. Such a shame I cannot travel there as often as I would like to because of the situation we're in. But I also really, really grew to love Rotterdam. I feel like it's such a dynamic city. It's very diverse. You have people from like all different walks of life. So I really appreciate that. So that's like a positive kind of twist that I managed to find for myself within this lack of action oriented country, so to say. Another thing that I don't like is just kind of how difficult and challenging it can be to really make Dutch friends, like Dutch friends. I get it, like it's a relatively small country of around 15 million people, and a lot of Dutch people know each other like almost from birth, and they kind of stick around with a certain group of friends for like their lifetime. So when I was even back in university, Dutch people would be the ones that go back home on the weekend to their family and their like original friends back home to spend more time with them. So in one sense, I envy that, because it must be so amazing to be able to have that close, tight-knit group of people that you always love to be around. On the flip side, being a little bit selfish, being an international and an expat myself here, that makes it difficult for us to really crack into the system and really enter those friend groups. So if you're lucky enough to have those one or two Dutch friends that are very open and love getting to know new people and new cultures, that's amazing, because once you do make friends, then you're kind of like in the group for life, if you know what I mean. So I think that's a wonderful thing if you're able to establish it. For me, I haven't been so lucky, and of course this past year hasn't been the easiest to be able to do that. I think one of the curses that I personally face is because I come from this American schooling background where I had friends from literally all over the world, and I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you my best friends like live in California. I have best friends in Australia, like in Sydney. And then I have friends that are in Japan, in Korea, and then in the Nordic region, like in Sweden, in Denmark. A very close friend of mine is based in the UK, for example. So literally people from all over the world. And how grateful am I? Like, I am so, so grateful for that. But on the flip side, because of this international background I have, it's almost like I don't have like a one fixed stable route that I can hold on to, especially when it comes to living here in the Netherlands. Like, I would love to be able to have all of my friends that I love very close to me as much as possible. So that's kind of like a personal circumstance situation, I feel like. Had I attended a Dutch school when I moved here, and I learned Dutch a lot better than I speak now, and I'm much more in that culture, I feel like maybe things would have been different. But I guess had that had happened, I wouldn't be here recording this YouTube video for all of you Make It fam. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. By the way, I really, really appreciate every single one of you. We recently hit 100K views on this tiny little channel I have. That makes me so happy and just keeps me very, very motivated to continue to create content. And I have some super awesome videos coming. Again, a little bit of a teaser. They're going to be about job applications, but also if you're looking to invest in real estate, or if you're budding entrepreneurs, I'm going to also be sharing with you a lot of tips around those as well. That's a little bit of a plug-in. Now that I'm filming this, for some reason it's becoming really, really hard for me to come up with the third thing I like about the Netherlands, but let's end on a positive note. So let's share one thing that I actually really like about the Netherlands. And you know what? That would have to be, again, like this is kind of like a double-edged sword. But it would have to be the fact that there is not such a huge gap between the extreme rich and the extreme poor. Even if there is, it's not so much in your eye. Because it's a very Calvinistic society here. People don't really believe in, doing flashy things. If you're very flashy, you're looked down upon. Again, I kind of have some issues with that because I would like to be able to be the kind of person that's a little bit kooky and weird and stands out from the crowd in certain circumstances. Overall, in the Dutch society, this notion of keeping everybody relatively equal works well, at least on the surface, and at least from what I have personally experienced so far. So even if I'm in Amsterdam and I'm in the PC Hoofdstraat, which is like the luxury street where you have all the designer boutiques and you just happen to be walking there, you don't really see that people on that street are like extremely rich because they don't necessarily look it. Like they might be entering this Louis Vuitton or this Dior and coming out of it, but they will basically just be dressed in like a regular outfit and just look like you. And occasionally you have that one person that pulls up with a flashy car and looks very out of the world. And you can immediately sense that that person doesn't necessarily like belong in that moment in time in this country, if you know what I mean. So I guess this is something that is good, especially if you are currently living in a country where there's such a huge gap between both. You don't really want to be there. Like that's not a really good place to be. So I think many of you would appreciate this. Let me know if you would down in the comments. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, so this has just been like a little bit of a sit down and chat with you guys. I really haven't prepared a script for this video. I literally just put the Christmas tree at the back to like zuzz up the background a little bit to give it that extra depth and then just have a chat with you. So if you like this kind of rant occasionally, let me know. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Every single like definitely helps the channel out a lot, pushes out the content to more people who would like to move here and are looking for information. And I really appreciate you sticking around with me. Until the next time, as usual, don't forget to stay awesome and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.